In third grade, my grandfather told me how babies were made. But don't tell anyone, he said. For many years, sex, I thought, was just a reproduction technique. Little did I know, sex was so much more. Shameful, unsafe, fun, beautiful, disgusting, dangerous, complex. I came to know a little late. A story like this is rare in our culture. We don't talk about sex, especially not with our family members.
He was a mature adult. I read the books and there was some magazines to know.
Go away, go.
In fact,
go, take them away.
I
Take them away.
didn't
Take Fazina and
need
everybody
to
away.
know the sexual education
Go
by
away to your
reading
mom.
books or
I'm telling you,
magazines.
go right now.
When the stage comes,
Go to your
it's
mom.
natural, no? So you will come to know that.
I never talked with my parents about that. I just learned through school and through the social media, I guess.
When I was in my puberty, I understand that there were changes in my body, but I didn't know what was happening.
Even in grade 9, 10, I was confused in that age, even.
No, it's not something I'd be comfortable talking to my parents about. I don't think I ever will. No, because we are in India, so that time it was kind of taboo.
Ontario's updated health and physical education curriculum was released this past spring. Rallies against the updated curriculum have been ongoing, and many among the protesters are South Asian parents. I could imagine the many reasons why South Asian parents would be against the curriculum, but I also found it unsettling to see South Asian and other immigrant parents in the forefront of these rallies.
We say no! We say no! We say no!
I think we share a common idea that we want to push back this radical and controversial sex ed curriculum. It's what really Canada represents. It's a very, very diverse group of people, represent different cultures, different faiths. And what they're objecting to is primarily that the parental rights have not been respected.
All they ask vague questions. Do you want your kids to be safe? Yes, of course I want it. Do you want your kids to have a better education? Of course we want it. Safe education. But do they tell us what they're going to exactly teach us? No.
A 6-year-old going to learn vulva, testicles words. We really cover them. We don't want to show these kind of words, but the other, we can see this, they are the normal things. If they are appropriate, then why do we cover them?
Now they're going to start teaching those words, then kids will hear those words, and then they're going to explore.
Grade 1 children don't need to read the university books. Make it age appropriate. And also, you grown up fine, don't you? I grow up fine. So where you got the education, where I got it, where our forefathers got the education. Let's leave the things where they're supposed to be.
While some believe that the curriculum is inappropriate, there are others who strongly support it.
Regardless of your age, you're vulnerable to being abused sexually. God forbid if, like somebody is, trying to, sexually abuse the child has to know what's going on. And the only way to know it is by talking about it. And that's where the culture has to change. These things shouldn't be behind the closed doors. These should be brought out, and we need to talk about it so that we can create a safer community, not just for child, but also for adults. But it has to start through the child. As a child, somebody inappropriately doing something sexually to the child, how does the child know? How will the child communicate that? If we continue to make sex such a taboo thing to talk about in our communities. Regardless of whether you give them sex education or not, people will discover their body parts and they will explore their body parts. I think the sex education plays the role of allowing the people to know what they're exploring.
I know that growing up, I didn't get a comprehensive sex health education, and that my own identity, my experience, my curiosity, my interest was all very much excluded. So as a gay man, I didn't have access to very much information about my life. Having come from an immigrant family, I can see that maybe our communities might be concerned with deviating from our goal as immigrants, and maybe our goal is about educating and having a better life for our kids. So things to do with leisure time, things that we equate with the West. There's certain ideas in our mind that I think we see as add-ons, and we don't want that to interfere with our children getting this education. And I think in doing that, we're trying to preserve our culture in a particular way, but we don't realize that we are reinforcing or perpetuating systems of power and patriarchy and silence that exist here in the West, and they also exist in our communities at home.
I think having these broad conversations around social justice and social, what society looks like and what changes are coming is crucial because, when that kid leaves the classroom, they're walking into the world, right? And that world is not a bubble. Giving them the tools and language to be able to navigate that is really crucial. I think a lot of the focus around the uproar around the sex ed curriculum has focused on racialized communities with a special focus on South Asian and Muslim communities in particular. South Asian community is really diverse, right? So one of the things that comes up a lot is that the taboo around sexuality and sexual health, and that definitely exists in certain communities. But other communities are, super open. There's a lot of activism in South Asian communities around sexuality and sexual health. There's a lot of different opinions and a lot of different lived experiences that people are bringing to their work and their activism that needs to be acknowledged as well.
We were talking to our kids, they became comfortable. They knew that this is a topic that they can talk to us about.
It's not appropriate, too young to
No,
teach
they are
them, but
teaching
no,
like
they're
on
okay.
the right level. I don't want my daughter to live in that dilemma, like the same dilemma I lived in. So I think I'm going to just support the education.
We don't need to come from a place of fear because it's a different world we live in.
The fact that it wasn't updated for almost a decade or even more was frankly surprising to me in a North American setting. So I don't even think it's a matter of debate. I think it was about...
The previous health and physical education curriculum was drafted long before social media became a part of our daily life. In a society bombarded with negative portrayals of sex, learning about sexual health and sexuality from a reliable source is very important. Culture and norms are not static, they change. And it's important to bring these changes along, to have these conversations, and to help break the silence.